Learn from everyone. Follow no one. That's the message. Simple, but powerful. Because life is a classroom, and every person you meet is a teacher. Some will teach you what to do. Some will teach you what never to do. But here's the key. Don't lose yourself in the process. You can learn from the wise. You can observe the successful. You can study the greats. But don't copy them. Don't become them. Don't replace your voice with theirs. You were not designed to be a duplicate. You were designed to be a creator. If you copy too much, you erase your own value. Life gives you mentors, but not masters. Guides, but not gods. Yes, take the lesson. Take the principle. Take the wisdom. But live it through your own identity. Not their story. Not their style. Not their path. Because the world doesn't need another them. The world needs you. That's the philosophy. That's the mindset. That's the message today. Be a student, not a follower. Ready? Let's begin. Be a student, not a follower. A student is curious. A follower is compliant. The student observes. The follower imitates. The student asks questions. The follower repeats answers. See the difference? Most people think success comes from following someone else. They chase the latest trend. They copy the methods of others. They mimic personalities, speeches, and actions. And they wonder why it doesn't work. Success is not a copy-paste. It's a creation. It begins inside your mind. It begins with your attitude. It begins with how you choose to learn. A student sees lessons everywhere. A student learns from mentors. A student learns from failures. A student learns from successes. A student even learns from people they don't like. Every person you meet, every situation you face, every mistake you make has a lesson hidden inside. But here's the catch. You must pay attention. You must think. You must apply. Otherwise, it's just noise. A follower does not think. A follower does not question. A follower waits to be told what to do. And followers rarely lead. I remember a time in my own life. Early in my career, I admired successful people. I wanted to be like them. I listened to their speeches. I bought their books. I tried to imitate their routines. But something didn't work. I wasn't them. I could follow their advice, but I couldn't follow their life. Then I realized I needed to learn, not follow. I needed to observe their principles, not copy their personality. I needed to study their habits, not mimic their style. I needed to understand why they succeeded, not just how. Once I shifted my mindset, everything changed. I stopped chasing someone else's story. I started creating my own. I became the student of success, not the follower of someone else's journey. Being a student means humility. It means admitting you don't know everything. It means being willing to listen. It means being willing to fail and learn. Most people want to appear smart. Most people want to look successful. Most people want to have the answers. But the truth is, the wiser you become, the more you realize how much you can still learn. The student mindset is not about pride. It's about curiosity. It's about growth. It's about preparing yourself for opportunities you haven't yet earned. Being a follower, on the other hand, limits you. A follower measures themselves by others. They compare constantly. They seek approval. They try to fit in. Followers live in fear. Fear of failure. Fear of criticism. Fear of standing out. A student thrives in discomfort. A student asks questions that others are afraid to ask. A student explores ideas that others dismiss. A student listens with intent, observes with clarity, and applies with purpose. Here's a lesson I want you to remember. You can learn from everyone. You cannot follow everyone. Take the principles. Discard the personalities. Keep the wisdom. Life is teaching constantly. Every person you meet has something to offer. Even those who fail. Even those who oppose you. Even those who seem irrelevant. Pay attention. Reflect. Extract the lesson. Then move forward. Because success is not about being like someone else. Success is about becoming the best version of yourself. So, what does a student do today? observes carefully, questions deeply, writes notes, tests ideas, applies what works, discards what doesn't, and most importantly, stays true to themselves. You can learn from everyone. You cannot follow everyone. Your path is unique. Your results will be unique. Your life will be uniquely yours. Remember this. The student sees every person as a teacher. The follower sees every person as a guide. Be a student, not a follower. Learn deeply. Think independently. Act courageously. And watch how your life begins to transform. Because when you adopt the mindset of a student, you're not just chasing success. You're creating it. Most people want shortcuts. They look at someone successful and think, if I just do what they do, I'll get what they got. It's a trap. Blindly following others is one of the fastest ways to failure, because you are not them. You do not have their experiences. You do not share their mindset. You do not walk their journey. Success is not a one-size-fits-all. It's personal. It's unique. It's designed for you, not for someone else. Followers lose themselves. They copy strategies without understanding principles. They mimic habits without knowing purpose. They repeat routines without feeling conviction. And when results don't appear, they blame themselves. They blame the method. They blame life. But the problem was never life. The problem was blindly following. I've seen it many times. People join programs, attend seminars, and follow mentors. But they leave their own mind at the door. They do not ask questions. They do not think critically. They just copy. And the copy is never as good as the original, because life rewards authenticity. It rewards creativity. It rewards those who think, act, and grow for themselves. A follower depends on someone else's timing. A follower depends on someone else's wisdom. A follower depends on someone else's approval. A student depends on themselves. A student seeks guidance, yes, but a student applies it through their own lens, through their own values, through their own action. Here's an example from my own life. Early on, I admired successful business leaders. I wanted to be like them. I read their books. I attended their talks. I tried to replicate their actions. And guess what happened? It didn't work. I wasn't them. I had different circumstances. I had different strengths. I had different weaknesses. Then I realized following blindly is not learning. It's pretending. It's imitation, not creation. When I stopped copying and started thinking, when I stopped following and started learning, everything changed. I developed my own strategies. I discovered my own path. I began to create results that were mine, unique and lasting. Blindly following also kills courage. You become dependent on approval. You hesitate to act without permission. You fear making decisions. True leaders are made by those who act independently. True success comes from those who think critically. True happiness grows in those who are guided, but not chained. Another danger of following blindly. You adopt the failures of others without realizing it. You copy bad habits along with the good. You repeat mistakes that were never yours to begin with. You limit your creativity. You stunt your growth. The person you follow may be successful, but they are human. They have flaws. They have failures. They have limits. If you follow blindly, you inherit all of that without the context. You take their methods, their mindset, their weaknesses, and wonder why your results are mediocre. So how do you avoid this trap? 1. Question everything. Do not take advice at face value. Ask why. Ask how. Ask if it aligns with your values and circumstances. 2. Observe principles, not personalities. The lessons are in the why, not the who. A habit may work for them, but you need to understand the principle behind it to make it work for you. 3. Take ownership of your actions. Apply what makes sense. Modify what needs adjustment. Discard what doesn't fit. 4. Build self-trust. Your mind is your most valuable asset. Learn to think independently. Learn to act decisively. 5. Create your path. Success is not a template. It is your own creation. Remember this. A follower sees someone else's success and imitates it. A student sees the principle and builds their own success. Blindly following is comfortable. It feels safe. It feels easy. But growth is uncomfortable. Growth is risky. Growth requires thought. Growth requires courage. If you want to be extraordinary, you must step out of the shadow of others. You must think for yourself. You must act for yourself. You must build for yourself. Because the world does not reward replicas. It rewards originals. So today, decide, will you follow blindly or will you learn wisely? Take the lessons, leave the imitation, build your own life. The moment you stop blindly following, the moment you start thinking independently, you begin to live your own success story. And that story is far more powerful than any you could copy. Here's what I've learned. Don't collect people. Collect principles. Don't chase personalities. Chase wisdom. Because personalities fade, principles last forever. Too many people today worship the messenger and forget the message. They quote names, not truths. They follow faces, not values. They chase fame, not substance. And when that person falls, their belief falls too. When that mentor changes course, they lose their direction. Why? Because their foundation was built on a person, not a principle. When I was young, I admired my mentor. He was sharp, disciplined, focused, a man of vision. But he taught me something even more important than his lessons. He said, Jim, don't make me your hero. Take what I say, test it, and make it your own. That stuck with me because principles are like seeds. They only grow when planted in your own soil. You can borrow someone's wisdom, but you must live it in your own way. Let me tell you why collecting principles matters. People change. Times change. Markets shift. Trends fade. But truth remains. Discipline remains. Integrity remains. Effort remains. Those are the principles that never go out of style. You can build your entire life on them. That's the foundation of wealth. That's the foundation of happiness. That's the foundation of leadership. I've seen people follow a personality with passion. They read every book. They repeat every word. They copy every move. But when that person made a mistake or disappeared, they were lost. You see, they built their success on sand, not stone. Their roots were shallow. Their understanding was weak. They followed who, not why. The goal is not to become a copy of someone else's greatness. The goal is to extract the principle behind it and make it yours. Let's talk about what that means in practice. When you hear someone say, wake up early, that's not the law. The principle is discipline. When someone says, read every day, that's not the rule. The principle is growth. When someone says, be kind, that's not the limit. The principle is character. When someone says, set goals, that's not the command. The principle is direction. So don't just follow the act. Understand the idea behind it. That's how wisdom becomes timeless. Principles will guide you when personalities disappear. When the world is loud, principles give you clarity. When life is uncertain, principles give you strength. When people disappoint you, principles keep you steady. Because truth doesn't retire. Discipline doesn't vanish. Character doesn't crumble. Principles are your internal compass. They point north when everything else spins in circles. So how do you collect principles? Here's how. 1. Listen deeply. When someone successful speaks, don't just admire them. Ask yourself, what principle made them succeed? 2. Extract the timeless lesson. Every success story hides a law of life, something that works in any era. Find it. Write it down. 3. Apply it in your own way. Don't just know the principle. Live it. Shape it into your daily behavior. 4. Test it. Not everything will fit you perfectly. Adapt it. Make it real in your world. 5. Keep refining. Principles grow stronger when practiced. The more you live them, the more they shape your destiny. Let me give you a truth I live by. Don't become a collector of people. Become a collector of truth. You can admire leaders. You can respect mentors, but never surrender your judgment. Never abandon your thinking. Learn from everyone. Follow no one blindly. Because here's what happens when you collect principles instead of personalities. You become steady. You become wise. You become original. You are no longer tossed around by trends. You no longer need constant motivation. You no longer depend on someone else's energy. You build your own. You create your own rhythm. You lead your own life. When you build on principles, you're not chasing fame. You're chasing truth. You're not trying to impress. You're trying to improve. And that's the kind of success that lasts. Because it's built on something eternal. Remember this. People will inspire you, but principles will sustain you. Admire the mentor, but live the message. Respect the teacher, but become the student of truth. Follow the wisdom, not the personality. Because in the end, it's not who you followed that shapes your life. It's what you learned, practiced, and lived. And when you collect enough true principles, you no longer need to follow anyone. You become the one others come to learn from. That's when you know you've become a student of life, not a fan of men. Learn from everyone, but lose yourself to no one. That's the balance. That's the wisdom. That's the secret. When I started my journey, I wanted to learn everything from everyone, all at once. And that's good. That's how you grow. But here's what I learned over time. If you're not careful, you'll collect so many opinions, you'll lose your own. You'll start to sound like everyone else, except you. You see, it's wise to be open, but dangerous to be empty. It's noble to learn, but foolish to copy. Learning from everyone doesn't mean you become a reflection of everyone. It means you extract the best and still remain you. That's the art of growth. Here's how it works. When you meet a successful person, listen, watch, observe how they think, how they work, how they live. Then ask yourself, what can I learn from this? What principle fits my life? Take the lesson. Leave the personality. Keep your identity. Don't become a clone. Don't become a shadow. Don't become a copy. Because the world doesn't need another copy. It needs you, your tone, your vision, your uniqueness, your interpretation of truth. I've seen people spend years trying to imitate others. They wear the same suit, speak the same words, even walk the same way. But when you look closely, they're empty inside, because imitation can give you form, but never power. True power comes from originality, and originality comes from knowing who you are. Learning is easy. Becoming yourself while learning, that's the challenge. It's like cooking. You take ingredients from many sources, but you must create your own recipe. That's what makes your life delicious. That's what makes your journey yours. When I learned from my mentor, I didn't try to be him. I tried to learn from him. There's a big difference. I watched how he thought, how he prepared, how he disciplined himself. Then I asked, how can I apply this in my life? That's the key. Don't take someone else's map and walk it blindly. Take their compass, then chart your own course. Let me tell you what happens. When you learn from everyone, you build layers of wisdom. From one person, you learn discipline. From another, you learn patience. From another, you learn creativity. From another, you learn grace. And soon, you become a masterpiece, made of many lessons. That's how you become powerful. Not by copying one, but by learning from many and creating something new. But beware of confusion. If you take everything, believe everything, follow everything, you'll end up believing in nothing. You'll be pulled in 10 directions, never mastering one. So here's the rule. Learn from everyone, but filter through your values. Ask, does this align with my purpose? Does this improve my life? Does this strengthen my character? If it doesn't, discard it. No guilt, no fear, Because wisdom is not about collecting everything. It's about selecting the right things. Now let me give you a practical way to live this. Step 1, become a listener. Listen deeply. When someone speaks from experience, don't rush to agree or disagree. Absorb. Step 2, reflect. After you hear it, don't react. Think, how does it apply to me? What's the principle behind it? Step 3, apply. Try it. Test it. Put it into your own system. Step 4, keep what works. Discard what doesn't. Don't hold on to ideas that don't serve you. That's how you learn wisely. Remember, learning is like shopping. You don't buy everything in the store. You only take what fits you. Same in life. Pick what strengthens you. Leave what doesn't. Now, some people will tell you, follow this method. Follow this person. Follow this system. But here's the truth. No single method works for everyone. No single mentor holds all the answers. Life is too big for one voice. That's why you must learn from many voices and build your own sound. That's how greatness is born. I once heard someone say, if you try to please everyone, you'll end up pleasing no one. It's true. You can't build your destiny on borrowed opinions. You can't live your dream on someone else's design. So learn from them, respect them, but live your truth. Let me give you one of my favorite lines. Absorb what is useful, discard what is not, add what is uniquely your own. That's the perfect formula for wisdom, and it works every time. Learn from the wise. Learn from the foolish too, because the wise show you what to do, and the foolish show you what not to do. Both are teachers. Both offer lessons. If you pay attention, everyone becomes your classroom. The real test of maturity is when you can learn from everyone and still think for yourself. That's when you've mastered wisdom. You can stand among giants and still be grounded. You can sit among experts and still know who you are. That's real power. So let me remind you, my friend, learn from everyone, but lose yourself to no one. Be a student, not a shadow. Be humble enough to learn, but strong enough to lead. Because the goal isn't to become a copy of someone great. The goal is to become the best version of yourself. Learn from them. Grow through you. That's how you rise. That's how you lead. That's how you live. A true leader doesn't arrive by accident. He arrives through evolution, through a quiet process of learning, applying, failing, reflecting, and rising again. See, leadership isn't something you claim. It's something you earn, not with words, but with growth. Most people want to teach before they learn. They want to lead before they've followed. They want to inspire others before they've disciplined themselves. But that's not how it works. Leadership is a process, a slow, steady climb. You start as a student. You observe. You study. You take notes. You learn from everyone, from the wise, from the foolish, from success, from failure. But that's only the first step. Learning alone isn't transformation. It's potential. Application is what gives learning power. Because it's easy to know, it's hard to do. Knowledge fills the mind, but action builds the life. I tell people, don't just collect notes, collect results. Don't just memorize quotes, live them. It's not how much you know. It's how much you apply. If you learn a great principle and never put it to work, you're only borrowing wisdom. But when you apply it, when you test it in the marketplace of life, it becomes yours. That's the second stage. Apply what you learn. Because wisdom without practice is like a seed left in the bag. It will never grow. It will never feed you. Now, when you apply what you learn, something begins to happen. You evolve. You begin to see patterns others don't. You start to make better choices. You start to trust your own judgment. You grow from the inside out. And that's when your character begins to form. That's when you begin to understand what true leadership means. It's not about being above others. It's about being ahead just far enough to reach back and help them climb. A leader says, follow me, not because I'm perfect, but because I'm growing. That's the power of authenticity. See, the world doesn't need more gurus. It needs more growers. Men and women who live what they teach, who walk what they talk, who become examples not by talk, but by transformation. You don't have to be loud to lead. You just have to be real. True leadership begins when you stop trying to impress others and start influencing yourself. When you can look in the mirror and say, I am practicing what I preach, because your example speaks louder than any motivational speech. People may forget what you say, but they will never forget what you do. And once you've learned, applied, and evolved, you reach the final stage. Teach. Teaching is the highest form of learning, because when you teach, you clarify, you simplify, you multiply your growth by sharing it. But remember, don't teach from your ego, teach from your experience. Don't say, I know everything. Say, here's what I've learned so far. A good teacher doesn't create copies. He creates thinkers. He inspires others to walk their own path. A real teacher doesn't say, follow me. He says, follow principles. Learn from my journey, but build your own. So here's the path of true leadership, my friends. Learn, apply, evolve, teach. It's not a slogan. It's a cycle, a rhythm of personal growth. And every time you complete the cycle, you become stronger, wiser, more effective, more impactful. You begin to live not just for yourself, but for others. You start creating value in your home, your work, your community. And that's the secret. Leaders don't just lead people. They lead principles into practice. They turn wisdom into action. They turn ideas into results. They turn words into legacy. So ask yourself today, where are you on this path? Are you still learning? Are you applying? Are you evolving? Or are you ready to teach? Because wherever you are, stay committed to the process. Don't rush it. Don't skip steps. Remember, you don't become a leader overnight. You grow into one disciplined day at a time. And here's the most beautiful part. As you teach others, you teach yourself all over again. Every lesson you give is a reminder to stay sharp, stay humble, stay growing. So learn from everyone. Follow no one blindly. Become your own example. Learn with passion. Apply with courage. Evolve with patience. Teach with love. That's the path of the true leader. That's the path of the wise. And one day, when someone looks at your life and says, who was your mentor? You can smile and say, life itself. Because you lived it. You practiced it. You taught it. You became it. That's real leadership. And that's where greatness begins. My friends, remember this one simple truth. You can learn from everyone, but you must follow yourself. Take wisdom from the wise. Take lessons from the foolish. Take experience from life itself. But don't lose you in the process. The goal is not to become a copy. The goal is to become complete. Success isn't found in imitation. It's found in integration. Taking what you've learned and turning it into your own unique expression. That's the art of life. That's what makes your story yours. So wherever you go, stay curious. Stay humble, but stay authentic. Learn from the masters, but write your own chapter. Stand on the shoulders of giants, but keep your own vision clear, because the world doesn't need another version of someone else. It needs the best version of you. So go live it. Go prove it. Go become it. Learn. Apply. Evolve. Teach. That's the full circle of growth. That's the way to lead a life of wisdom, wealth, and purpose. And if you ever forget, just remember this. Learn from everyone. Follow no one, and become someone worth learning from. That's the ultimate reward. That's the Jim Rohn way. And that's your way, if you choose to walk it.